Hi, this is Lisa from Mediation Services of North Central Mass. I'm here today to talk to you about mediation and what it is. Mediation is a way for people to resolve disputes with the help of trained neutrals, the mediators. Mediation can be used to prevent and plan. Say you have something coming up or you think something's going to be an issue with someone else, that is what we call prevent and plan. It can also help in instances where people are thinking of filing a complaint at court, all the way up to just before the trial is held and a decision is made by the judge. Mediation allows people to have a say in what happens in the future instead of letting a court decide. You can think of dispute resolution processes on a spectrum. So here we have an illustration of that. First, on the far left, we have negotiation. This is where the parties consult directly with each other about the possible outcomes. Then we have mediation. In mediation, the mediators control and guide the process, and the parties control the outcome. The confidentiality of this process is protected by statute in Massachusetts. There are different types of mediation, but here at MSI, we practice and teach facilitative mediation. Next on the continuum, we have collaborative law. Collaborative law is similar to mediation in the sense that there is a neutral in the room. But in a formal collaborative law process, both parties have attorneys in the room as well. And the attorneys that are present agree in advance of entering the process that they are only there to work toward resolution. And while this is a voluntary process for the parties, should the parties decide to proceed to court, then they will need to obtain new attorneys. Then we have conciliation or case evaluation. This is a process where there is an attorney or retired judge that has case experience that is similar to the case that they're conciliating. And they will talk with the parties and they'll point out some strengths and weaknesses of the case and may make a report to the court regarding those strengths and weaknesses and also outstanding issues. Then we have arbitration. Generally, this is done by a retired judge or clerk magistrate, and the arbitrator will make a decision about who wins or loses. Prior to entering the arbitration process, or maybe in a contract that they signed when they signed up for some product or service, the parties agree to accept whatever decision the arbitrator makes. Finally, in the spectrum, we have adjudication. And so this is the ultimate place where there is just one winner, one loser. The process is completely controlled by the judge, and the judge or jury makes the ultimate decision regarding who is at fault. People often ask me, what do mediators do? Mediators help parties have a conversation focused on the future and on resolution of their problem. We help them figure out what they really want or need. Oftentimes in a dispute, you hear someone say, I want him to pay me X number. But that doesn't always get the person that's asking for it what they actually need out of the process and out of the agreement. We help them think about a little bit more deeply what they really want or need and try to get at the root of the issue. We ask hard questions sometimes, but we always remain neutral. We help people come up with solutions that they can live with and that the other party will also agree to. And we let people make their own decisions. We don't tell them what to do or make decisions for them. It's not about us, it's about the parties and what will work for them. There are 5 pillars or tenets of mediation, and it is our job as mediators to make sure that we are upholding those. First and foremost, mediation is voluntary. This is for both the parties and the mediators. If anyone involved decides that the process is not working, then they can stop the process. Mediation is confidential. Mediators are ethically bound to keep all of the information learned in mediation confidential unless we learn of plans to commit a crime or serious harm to oneself or another. Mediation is a form of settlement discussion, so we also expect the parties to keep any information learned in mediation confidential, but the parties may, of course, consult with a legal advisor prior to making any final decisions. Mediations are neutral. We do not give advice or opinions regarding the actions or decisions of the parties. We help the parties explore their options and give them the opportunity to obtain information to make sure their decisions are informed regarding their rights and responsibilities prior to finalizing any agreement. We allow for parties to make their own decisions once they are informed, and we don't tell them what to do or make those decisions for them. So once the parties agree to come to mediation, mediators will introduce themselves and explain the process to the parties and answer any questions that they might have. Everyone makes sure that the agreement to participate is signed before the session begins. Once that is done, the joint session begins, and this is where each person is given time to tell their side of the story without interruption from the other side. The mediators will ask questions and summarize what they are hearing to make sure that we're understanding what's going on and your side of the dispute. Once each party in the joint session has had an opportunity to tell their side of the story, the mediators will often then take a brief break to meet with each other so they can make sure they're on the same page and that they're understanding what's going on in the dispute. They will then have private sessions with each party, and in those private sessions, there is an extra layer of confidentiality. So if someone wants to share with us something that they didn't want to mention in front of the other person, that's the perfect opportunity for them to do that. After the mediators have had an opportunity to meet with both parties individually, then we often are able to bring the parties back together for what we call a final joint session. Now, in that final joint session, we often will point out any progress that they have made, any agreements or areas of agreement that we have identified, and if there are any areas in which there's still some differences, then we talk about those in that joint session. If there is an agreement, we help people write it up using their words, and we inform them of any next steps. And this is the time when we also ask them to fill out an evaluation form and a demographics form, which is required by the program in order for us to obtain funding. Here's an illustration of how we will often set up the room during mediation. At MSI, we normally have the parties sit on the same side of the table when a round table is not available. This allows the parties to put the problem on the table and focus on resolving the problem. It also allows the mediators to see both parties at the same time. So we can see everyone's body language, how they're reacting to what the other person is saying, and really have an eye on both parties. Sometimes the parties just aren't comfortable being right near each other. So if that's the case, we will oftentimes put a chair or two in between them, and a lot of times that will make them more comfortable, or we just arrange it so that they're at either corner of the table, but still on the same side of it, so we can still see both of them. And occasionally we find that people are just not even comfortable being in the same room as each other. If that is the case, then what we do is maybe start the process itself with private sessions where the mediators work with each party individually before they come together in a joint session. And those private sessions are then used to develop strategies for communication in order to bring them together so that they can have a conversation directly with each other. I hope this answers some of the questions that you may have had about mediation and what it is that we do in mediation. And if you would like to follow us on social media to find out more about what MSI does for the community, please do so. Our handles are on the screen. You can also email us or give us a call at the numbers below. And thank you so much for watching.